All right, guys, we are inside your house here. And you got this wonderful little bench, you know.
Have a seat. It's comfortable.
Sits really good, looks good. But this is not your normal bench.
No, it's not.
Nope.
It has secrets.
Now, tell us about the secrets of this bench.
This is totally awesome. So this bench is actually a vermicomposting bench.
Okay.
There's actually worms and food scraps in there.
That's
There's
amazing.
no odor. It's easy to harvest. It's been just lots of fun.
Well, let's take a look at it.
Yeah.
Let's open it up. Let's see some worm poop.
All right.
And can you kind of tell us how this works?
Sure. You put that?
I got that for you.
Thank you. So this is horizontal migration. So what we have is we have 2 bins, thank you, on either side, and then separated by hardware cloth. So you basically just, you start with 1 bin and you fill it up, and then you bury your food scraps in there. You want to make sure you have a nice carbon material to bury the food scraps in. And then when this side fills up, you start working on this side. And the worms will migrate to the fresh bedding and the new food on this side. And then over here, all you have to do is scoop out the worm castings.
So basically, they're going to take the fresh food wherever you put it,
Yep.
regardless if it's here or here. And how long does it take to kind of get one of these bins from an apple core to compost?
When you first start worm composting, the first initial harvest is after 3 months, because a pound of worms will eat half a pound a day of its food scrap.
A pound of worms will eat half a pound of food waste in one day.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it goes so fast. We've already harvested. So you built this in February?
February. We started probably March. We finished and finally got the worms in.
Mm-hmm. And we've already harvested like 3 or 4 or 5 gallon buckets of
I'd
vermicompost
say
out
about
of it.
15 gallons of good
Vermicompost.
Yeah.
good black gold.
And
Yeah.
I'm familiar with kind of some of the benefits here, but can you really explain why would you want worm poop?
Worm poop is magical. It's high in a lot of micronutrients. Not only does it have nitrogen in it, but there's phosphorus. It has a plant bioavailability of calcium, and we used to sell all the time, like to the Rose Society, because by putting vermicompost on their roses, the roses had a decrease in aphids.
Wow.
Because plants will emit different hormones.
Yeah.
If the soil is healthy enough, they'll emit a hormone that actually breaks down aphid bodies and deters them.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that's something like kind of back to feeding your soil.
Mm-hmm.
If you eat like crap, you're probably going to get sick more.
Yeah.
Same with your plants. If your plants are eating a natural, diet that
Oh,
is
yeah.
high in nutrients and you've got a lot of microbiology
Oh, yeah.
in your soil, then it's going to be healthy, and the bugs aren't going to want to attack that because it's got a natural immune system. So that's really neat. This is really cool, guys. So where are the majority of the worms at right now? How many worms do you have in here, would you say?
There's probably, I would guess, maybe about 5 pounds of worms. I actually brought these worms from Phoenix.
Really?
Yeah.
Phoenix worms?
Yeah. I brought a bucket of worms and a whole bunch of other stuff.
That's girl on the road with worms.
Hitting
So,
the road.
can you show us some of these worms? Can you?
Yeah.
I'd really like to see a handful
So-
of worms. And so you're probably being pretty delicate there because you don't
Yeah.
want to hurt them, correct?
Yeah, so these are red wiggler composting worms, and they're the best for composting and eating food scraps. So there's probably quite a few. So those are springtails in there, little white bugs. They're good for the soil as well. They're another decomposers. So the worms are pretty small. But the reason you want to use red wigglers is that they don't make permanent burrows in the soil, so they can survive in a vermicomposting system. If you were to pull worms out of your garden, they might be earthworms, and they're not going to decompose as much, eat as much.
So these are really worms specifically made for composting.
Yeah, like out in their natural habitat. These would be right underneath the leaf litter in a forest.
So now I see you've got a couple tools here. You got
Yeah.
a thermometer.
Yeah, I like to check the temp, make sure it's not getting too hot for the worms.
And you've got like a little spatula kind of deal here. What's this for?
That's what I use to bury the food scrap. So I'll just dig a hole and then
Okay.
bury it in there and
And the worms
cover it
find
back up.
it, they eat it,
Mm-hmm.
and they process it. And what are some fun facts about worms? You're really
Oh.
the worm girl.
I got one.
Oh, yeah?
They cannot see in the color of red.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that blows my mind.
So if you want to screw with worms, just dress up like the Kool-Aid man.
Yeah, and have a red light district worms. Another thing I like to tell kids is like, what do worms, chickens, and alligators have in common?
They have a gizzard.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they all have a gizzard, so it's important to throw in some sand or a handful of garden soil for them to break down their food.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and if you cut a worm in half, it doesn't make 2 worms.
No?
No, so please don't.
I heard
Please don't hurt
earthworm
them.
has 5 hearts.
They have 5 aorta valves. It doesn't really have a heart, but more like valve pumps that pump blood through their body.
Okay.
And they have a light sensor on top of their head, and that's how they tell to get out of the sunlight.
Okay, now I've seen something where people harvest worms by taking like this rod.
Yeah.
And so it like vibrates. Now, how does that work? Why does that work?
I don't know, but I would love to
vibration.
find out. It's a vibrational thing. Does it pull them up?
So it can be a piece of rebar,
Okay.
which is generally what's stuck into the ground, and you have a good hardwood, and you run it across it, and it creates a vibration into the sound down that rebar. It agitates them. It's almost like a hey, here we are kind of greeting from other worms, kind of, messes with them a little bit, but it's amazing how fast they rise up.
Yeah.
They did that in Florida, didn't they?
Yeah. I've gone out with
They
a
think
couple
it's
folks.
like the moles.
Oh, yeah. They think it, wow.
So
Okay.
they come to the top.
Amazing.
To get away from the moles. Wow,
I don't
really
like
cool.
moles
No.
So, now, if somebody wanted to purchase one of these from you guys, could they do that? Will you build
Certainly.
one of these up and send them out?
Custom, size, color, height,
Heck yeah.
volume of
Here's
worms.
that email again.
Flashing.
And it's absolutely amazing. There's no moisture leaking. There's no smell. We have never had any insects attracted to it at all.
Right.
And there's no like heavy lifting with the worm besides lifting the bench. Yeah, but it makes compost so quickly, and you don't have to go outside. You can compost during the wintertime or the hottest parts of summer because it's
It's
indoors.
always fun when you have guests over and they're like, "What do I do with my scraps?" And put it in the couch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like what?
Well, and I mean, I sat on this, and then 3 hours into being here, you're like, oh yeah, by the way,
Yeah.
boom, and you're like, you would never know. It just
Yeah.
looks like a nice hardwood bench, and there's like all this life and production and recycling going on right underneath your booty.
And
That's right.
Recycling as well. Part of what I enjoy when woodworking is not buying lumber, is using what other people have thrown away or what can be reused. This is all. Granted, we did get some of this from the Home Depot, but we got it from their salvage bin, so it was all bowed and messed up.
Right. And probably a tenth of the price.
Oh, it was like 75 cents for a 2x4. So I ripped it down the table saw to get out some of the bows and stuff. And
It looks amazing. I mean, this is a
pallets.
really high quality looking. We just lifted this thing, and it is no joke. He was not joking when he said it's 300 pounds.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And I think a lot of gardeners, farmers, homesteaders, we all tend to be the kind of people that, some people may call it hoarding.
We call it a resource
reuse
center.
it. Yeah, it's like, what are you going to pull from? I'm going to
Yeah.
use this for something. One thing that I was
sustainability.
absolutely, and it's beyond
Using what you
sustainability.
have.
It's thriving and taking what you have and doing what you can with it. That's a principle of permaculture, and I think a lot of us really, I've made garden beds from shopping carts that were sitting in
I remember those.
or bathtubs or whatever, and taking kind of these materials and reusing them and making them productive, or I think is a really good way to do things. I think it's almost necessary. We have so much crap in this world now, and there's so many products.
If you could divert things from a landfill, it's so much better.
And that's why they say reduce your use, reuse, and then if you can't reuse, then you recycle.
Yeah, that's
So
the last
either
resort.
Don't use it, reuse it, and then if you can't do either of those things, it's a stepping stone policy. It's not reduce, reuse, recycle is like do the reduce, then try to do the reuse. And then if you can't do any of those, turn it into something else or have somebody else do that. But
Yeah, this worm bin's a good example of that.
100%.
And it's such a lovely work of art too.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, guys, thank you so much for showing us this one. Thanks for having us at your property. We're going to be making some cider today. We're going to be picking apples this afternoon. Probably drinking some beer too. I don't know. But actually, I do know. But yeah, so we're gonna be doing that, and we're gonna bring you guys along. Thanks so much for tuning in. Farm Trippin'.
Thank you.